Hey, but I don't quite remember where I left off. It's only been a few minutes. It's some shitty summer. Oh, Paul. Oh, yes. I was like, he's moving to Portland. Can I come with you if you want? And then I got all into planning my life around Evergreen, and that was like late summer, early fall. School started when I got all into. Let's say it was September '94. Um, I was deep in planning my reality, my new reality. And I knew that I was kind of being a fool, but I also was like, I need change in my life. So maybe at Evergreen, I will meet new people and like things will change. I mean, it wasn't the worst idea, but it was all based around Paul. Like, so there was like this inner weakness or like patheticness, but there's this spunky part of me that was like, I'm going on an adventure. Anyway, so my father wound up dying on December 31st, 94. And Paul was still around because he and Brian couldn't get their shit together to move, to do their trip. I mean, to move. They'd already had the road trip. Paul, like getting a U-Haul, stuff packed up, whatever it takes to move. He just kept procrastinating it. Like he definitely wanted to do it, but he was like really like taking his sweet time, and I don't know, it was weird. And kept getting my father kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and he would never say I'm gonna stay. Like, I've stuck around this long, I can see how he is. Like, he just wouldn't say it. And so I didn't know what would happen. But he died, and Paul was around, and he was like so warm, loving, like the wake and the funeral, and days after, like just very close, close companion, loving, and it's just confusing. He wound up moving in February, and I was in school still. My plan was to ride out the spring semester and go in the summer, and then start at Evergreen in the fall. So there isn't that much to say at that point. It was like he expressed no opinion about me moving. I knew in my heart of hearts that he was breaking up with me, but he wouldn't break up with me. We talk about this, people that do that. Like, they act so. We were talking about Paul. They act so awful that you have to break up with them, so you're the one that broke up with them. But I didn't know I was a stubborn loss. So that happened, and then I wound up going to Evergreen. Well, I lived in Portland for the summer. At Kevin Hendrickson's house and hung out with Denise, and I liked it. And then I went to Evergreen, and it was bad. I hated it so much. They had this stupid policy that if you were a transfer student, you had to live in the transfer dorm. You couldn't live in an apartment in town. And so the other transfer students, even though I was only like 21 and a half, I was close to 22. Was I? I don't know. I was over 21. The other girls were 18, 19, and that makes a big difference. Like when you're 21 and you're forced to live with a 19-year-old, at the time, maybe it's just the kind of women that they were, and they just seemed really like dorky and clueless, and just like small town girls. Except for this one chick, man. She was young, but she was like a hippie who'd fucked her way around the country and like hitchhiked to Hawaii. Like, she was a wild chick. but she was hardly ever around. There was Nicole Hartley. She was kind of brainy. She was from Michigan, and we became friends. She had seemed to have a decent sense of humor. She was definitely smart. I think her parents, whatever, she was smart. And so we clicked more than I could click with anyone else there. And it was like a long weekend or something, and Denise was going to pick me up. Well, I had my own car. Did I? Maybe I didn't have a car. Denise was going to pick me up for a Portland weekend, and Nicole Hartley was going to come along, and Denise's sister was also with her. So the four of us are like driving down to Portland, and we get to like the part where suddenly you see Portland, like the tall buildings, and it's nighttime, so it looks fairly glittery, I guess. And she went, "Oh, skyscrapers!" And we all started laughing because, I mean, it's, Portland. It's not impressive. Like, no, really, we all started laughing at her, and so she got really mad, and she's like, "Those are skyscrapers. They scrape the sky. There's nothing like that in Michigan." And then I was like, yeah, they're tall buildings, but like, if you go to Chicago or New York or Los Angeles, Miami, you're going to see much taller buildings, many more buildings. So I'm sorry, but it just, like, this to us is not a big city or skyscrapers. We wouldn't think of them as skyscrapers. And she was like, "They're skyscrapers." And then, like, one of the nights, I got a phone call. We were hanging out in my apartment. And I quit Evergreen. Eventually, I just quit Evergreen and had got an apartment right next door to Denise. I feel confused. Okay, maybe the skyscrapers was a weekend trip, and then we stayed friends. And then eventually I dropped out. She visited me at my apartment in South Columbia, and it was 2 separate trips. I'm hanging out. I get a phone call. I'm talking on the phone. I don't know who it was from. It wasn't like a long, deep, personal, everlasting phone call. It was a few minutes. It might have been like a 10-minute phone call. So a little on the lengthy side, but not offensively so, according to me. And when I hung up, she seemed really moody, but she wouldn't say why. And then she went to take a shower, and she left her diary on my bed. It was back then, oh my God, don't do that. So I start reading it, and it was like, "I can't believe the nerve. She has been on the phone for 10 minutes. Is that what you do when you have a guest?" And I remember like being like, Jesus Christ, I was on the phone that long, like 10 minutes at the most. Why do I look so red here? Is it just lighting? This has nothing to do with Paul. Okay, I'm cutting back to today. We were talking about stuff, and something, like, I remembered, whatever triggered me to connect to that time that with his sister, when she was like, "So, do you have everything you need for the road trip?" That time. So I go to Paul and I'm like, "It's like that time with your sister when you didn't tell me that she assumed I knew about your road trip and you hadn't told me." And he's just like, "Is he nearby? Creeper." Just shut this door. I thought he was getting Poppy ready for bed. He probably was. Okay, but so he's like real flat affect, and I'm like, why? Why did you do that? Why didn't you tell me? Like, were you just gonna disappear? Or were you just gonna wait till the last second? Why? And he's like, I don't know. I back then didn't like to commit to plans, so maybe I wasn't even gonna go on the trip. But the fact that Sandra knew makes it seems like I definitely was going. So I'm sorry. And what can you do when someone says sorry, but it's like a lame, disappointing sorry? I wanted more of an explanation than a sorry. I wanted like, what was? Oh, so that's when I went out and vlogs to you, and then he showed up, and I was like, I came out here to get away from you. I was like, I heard you say sorry, but what really bothers me is why you would do that to me. You did that to me, and I can't comprehend it. Something so big, you would not tell me. And he was like, well, there were like things that, and no, he goes, I thought we were over. I was like, oh, I didn't think we were over. I thought we were boyfriend and girlfriend because we would go on dates and we would have sex and we'd talk on the phone and we were romantic with each other. And sometimes we had fights, but I felt like you were my closest friend. So I didn't think it was over at all. I had no idea. Maybe you should have told me that too. I was like, oh, fuck you. I read him the riot act on that. And then well, he's like, I heard things. I never felt like I could really believe you, or I always had like an uneasy feeling. I heard things from like people like Camilla and Brian, and I started sweating because there was something that Camilla knew about me. She was in San Francisco at this point, and we weren't in touch. But I remember my diary of that time period of being like, I hope when they get to San Francisco that she doesn't tell them. But I don't know what it was. I don't know what I did. She knew something about me. I can't remember. So then I'm really paranoid. I'm like, oh my God. Like, but he wouldn't have known that. I was like, she was in San Francisco. What did she tell you? Like bluffing. He could have been like, she told me when I got to San Francisco. So, the thing is that back then I would tell lies. I wasn't like a huge cheater. Oh, fucking. I kind of repeated to him when I said to you. Because when I was like, why did you do it? And he was like, and I said, I should have been like, have fun on your road trip, and I'm going to have fun here in the city. And he goes, isn't that what you did? Which makes me want to kill him. Because the thing with Zeke is like the only thing that happened. And he knows about Zeke because a few years later, I confessed all. So like he knows I did like a bad thing. So I was like, oh, what do you think? I was like dating bankers all summer, like living the high life. Like I was working. Well, you got to have a fun road trip. I was working every day and living on a scratchy couch. So I know there was that thing with that guy, which was like very short lived. I was very lonely. Oh my God, I'm at 14 minutes already. But anyway, I was like, so can I just sum it up for you? You had some anger with me that you couldn't express, and you had fear about telling me about this trip, and you had fear of breaking up with me, and ambivalence, part of you didn't want to break up with me, and you were just procrastinating, and you did love me, but you didn't have the maturity to love. And in a lot of ways, I didn't either. The shady feeling you got from me, I was shady. I did tell lies. So, I mean, a lot. Just over bullshit. So, and he more gallantly apologized, and I accepted. And that's pretty much the story. Okay, gotta go. Bye.